This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrat. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. And Matt, I'm going to be honest with people last night. I kind of had a disaster going after the show. And it was all on me because I wasn't paying attention to the storage.
With the uploading deal? Yeah, the show ended and Jeffries is over there going, what the heck?
It's
and
gone.
He's like, I don't have a download option or an upload option. Which was it?
Download.
And then I look at the bottom and it says 50.6 hours of 50 hours taken. And then we're like, oh, there we go.
So it caused a little bit of a delay getting the replay out and getting the podcast out. Because what we do is we take the audio from the show and then put it in a file format to upload
What we do?
To our provider.
What you do?
Well, I mean,
So I'm in the process of trying to
it's we.
learn
It's
that.
Anyway.
It's kind of complicated.
No, it's not. It's
It
super
kind of
easy.
is complicated.
No. It's super easy, man. All the editing stuff that you've been doing over the past 15 years and what you're doing now, it's a piece of cake. Anyway, so my apologies for getting yesterday's show out a little tardy. That's a word that's not used very often. Tardy.
It's all good.
So, anyway. So, good show today. We're going to talk a little SEC football. I said a little. In a combination of an event that took place at the University of South Carolina with Gettys Brannon and a unique event that what do I talk about now? You know, I have been pretty vocal on this show. I don't like the whole grow the sport thing. I like make the sport better. And I think this is an event that definitely in that area is making the sport better. And it really exposed the sport, both freshwater and saltwater, to a lot of people that were, you know, getting ready for a South Carolina home football game.
I feel like that's a pretty good target audience as well.
Yeah.
Receptive to the outdoors, fishing, boating, that type of thing.
And South Carolina is one of those states that, and we'll ask Gettys this, about the balance of freshwater and saltwater. Because saltwater is a really big market. I mean, Texas is that way. A lot of people forget about Texas. Louisiana, obviously that way. Florida, probably the largest one. Georgia's that way a little bit. But that combination, freshwater, saltwater, it really kind of opened some eyes, especially the crowd. And I actually have some photos of this event that we're going to show when we get our guest on. But I think it's just an outstanding effort to expose the game to some people that may not be familiar with it as much. Yeah, they may have a casual conversation about both freshwater and saltwater fishing, but it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, it is. And Gettys is the CEO of the South Carolina Boating and Fishing Alliance.
Yeah.
And I was talking with him a little bit more about this. There's a unique, and we talked about this yesterday a little bit on the show, but a unique circumstances in South Carolina with as much freshwater fishing and saltwater coastal fishing and boating.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to like speak for him, but like previously, like a lot of the freshwater and the saltwater and all that, like they didn't like really work together. Like they're like separate and stuff. And there's like ways that you can like work together and things. So yeah, he's been around and Gettys has been around the game for a long time. I mentioned this yesterday. He won an FLW national championship, collegiate national championship with Patrick Walters.
That's pretty cool.
I'd say right now one of the top 10 guys going in the sport. without a doubt. So I would not mind getting into it a little bit with him, whether it was Patrick carrying Gettys or whether it was Gettys carrying Patrick.
Yeah.
On that, I know they both got to fish in the Forest Wood Cup there, and Gettys, I think they assigned it so he got to fish as the co-angler.
Yeah.
And Patrick fishes a boater and stuff, but then also did some work for Bassmaster, some freelance for Bassmaster. Been around in the industry for well over a decade now. So, and then now all of a sudden, I like Laurie. He's like wearing the suits and going to all the stuff, dealing with budgets. So it's kind of cool to see. To see how he has progressed in the sport from winning a collegiate national championship. Once again, another example of, and I think we can talk to him about this maybe a little bit, of collegiate bass fishing kind of leading to a career path that might not have otherwise happened had that avenue not been available.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Same with me.
Great point. All right, since we're going to talk a little football, and we're not going to dive into the whole SEC thing, but it got me thinking this morning. And I want to ask you this. Obviously, you've been in the game for a long time. Have you ever recalled an angler, and it doesn't matter, bass, FLW, MLF, whatever, that has just been knocking it out of the water, all right, check after check after check after check, that was absolutely miserable and just ticked off based upon his performance? The comparison I'm making is to the Oklahoma Sooners, who are undefeated, 8-0, and everybody in this town and the coaching staff, the players, everybody is upset and mad and angry because of what has been taking place. Can you recall an angler like that?
So you're talking about a guy who's catching them, but is ticked off that he's not catching them better.
Yeah.
I mean, and Iaconelli in his prime was like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A Van Dam was, I mean, you'd interview Van Dam and he was unimpressed with himself. When he was
going through that run,
he was making top tens, but if he wasn't in it to win it, he was like, a little grumpy.
I'm gonna throw a name out at you.
Biffle, too, has been like that, but he also had a couple years of that run where he was cashing a lot of checks. He's like, I want to win.
Yeah. How about Edwin Evers? I've been around Edwin quite a bit, and he does not accept mediocrity.
I thought you were going to say he does not accept media, which is also an accurate statement.
He's one of those guys you have to ask good questions to Edwin to get the response that you're looking for.
Edwin is one of those guys who understands that there's no benefit for him to answer questions before the tournament is over, because the only people that really benefits are about the 15 people that are trying to beat him, that are going to see that, and no one cares what he does on day 1, 2, or 3. After it's all over, he'll be more open.
Yeah. Do you think, I'm going to throw out another name, and then I have a follow-up question. Jeff Creed is another one. Now, Jeff, and we need to get Jeff on the show because his performance over the last few years has not been equitable.
He's had some decent derbies, though.
Hang on, let me finish. Has not been equitable to what he has done in the early stages of his career.
Yeah, the answer to your question, you answered it yourself, is Edwin.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not happy with 18th, 15th, 10th place finishes.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing.
I'm not saying he's bad with the media. He's actually very good with the media. He turns it back. He smiles. He shows off the pearly whites. It's just in the.
He's about perfection.
Yeah, and he's
really
great
is.
on his YouTube channel. I've never had any issues with him at all, but I also know not to ask dumb questions that don't need to be asked until after the tournament's over.
Okay, so here's my follow-up.
But he's not happy with good finishes.
Yeah, with just getting by.
Ticks him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the 8-0 Sooners. He's also a Sooners fan from Oklahoma.
He is. But it's a good comparison. Now, a follow-up question to that, Matt, and you kind of fit in this category, is the younger angler of today more accepting of, let's just say, having a good finish and not really passionate and upset.
So you're talking a Jordan Lee, a Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah. They go out and they finish, 32nd, they get a check, they move on to the next one, and they're upset. Or
no, Lucas, I think Lucas would fall into that category too. Lucas is kind of like an Edwin.
Okay.
as far as not like he was having really good tournaments, but not keeping pace with Jacob Wheeler.
Okay.
And he was not happy about it.
He was motivated.
Yeah, he was ticked off that
He was very motivated.
he's played,
So
not keeping
my
pace.
next question is this a good, let's just call it moxie to have if you're one of the young anglers that are coming out to not be satisfied with just getting by?
Well, literally, that's David Dudley's motto is never be satisfied, I believe.
I have no idea. What, does he have a T-shirt?
I think he's got a full arm sleeve now that says it.
Never be satisfied?
That I think, isn't that his motto?
I don't
I mean, Ike's got never give up.
Never be satisfied? But answer the question. I mean, that he's an old school guy. I could see
Who?
him saying that. David Dudley. Do you think that is the attitude of the young anglers on whatever tour? They could be on the ABC tour.
Yeah, the
Make no
motivation.
difference.
Dudley's mantra is never be satisfied.
Okay, that's a good call there, Matthew. But he's an old school guy. What I'm asking you is, are the younger up-and-coming anglers more about just having a good finish?
No,
or
I think
are
it's
they
the same.
motivated?
It's the exact same. It's the exact same.
You think so?
Yeah, as before. Just like you had old school guys that were happy with it, you've got young school guys that are happy with it now, and you've got some guys that are, it's just a personality thing, and I think that personality is equally distributed.
Do you think that attitude could actually hurt some of the young anglers? In other words,
I don't think. I think you're trying to compare apples to apples, making it apples to oranges. Like, it's the exact same. Like, I think you have the same amount of guys who are uber competitive and the same number of guys who are, obviously you have to be competitive to be in an individual sport and compete, but are not, that are not as uber competitive as other guys. Like, I'm
listening.
I don't know. I feel, okay, like I'd put Wheeler and Lucas and stuff in uber competitive, right?
Okay.
And I know Jordan Lee is competitive, but I don't think you're going to see Jordan Lee just freaking out over top 10 finishes. And he's like, man, it was a good derby, and move on to the next one. But then look, he's won back-to-back classics and all sorts of MLF stuff. So I think it's the same as it has been in the past.
How long does it take you to get over a bad performance?
It depends on why it was a bad performance and how the bad performance. There's some times where bad performances, you just go, wow, missed that one, and you move on. And then other times where it bothers you because you're like, you either missed fish. Like, the worst ones to get over for me in a bad performance is losing a fish in the last hour of the last day of the tournament. Because here's why.
Dude, that's just part of the game.
No. Here's why. If you lose a fish at any other point in the tournament, you have to look at it like a football game or a basketball game. That fish changes the rest of your day, right? So even if you lose it on day one or you don't get it, it could have clued you into something to where you go, oh man, I had 20 pounds, but I would have had 22 with that fish. Well, if you hadn't lost that fish or had that fish bite, you would have ended up with 12 pounds because that fish clued you in on something that changes the rest of the outcome of your game.
Yeah.
When you miss one in the final minutes that you need like that, and it's on you and it's your fault because of being lackadaisical, something happens, like, that's just pure raw weight that you just left on the table that did not change the like, none of the rest of the day's outcome or tournament's outcome would have been decided. You'd have just had more weight.
All right.
You see what I'm saying? So it depends on how.
All right. So do you think there's a lot of OU players out there? When I say players, I'm talking about anglers that are having good years but are still not satisfied. Or do you think the vast majority of guys that are out there on whatever tour, it doesn't matter, are just satisfied with getting that check?
I think there's a number of guys that are satisfied with being in contention.
Okay.
Because really, especially in this sport, it's so hard to be in contention. It's easy to be knocked out of contention. And there's nothing worse than not having anything to fish for.
Yeah.
I've been around the guys. I've been in that position.
Yeah.
It's a sucky position to be in. It's hard to get motivated. So I think, like me, like I'm not happy, but I'm satisfied as long as I'm in contention to be fishing for something. So I might not be leading it. I might not be finishing in the top 10 in tournaments, but it's still mission accomplished for me.
Okay. All right. I just trying to make a comparison between old school and new school, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
GC Jibby said I was DQ'd for being late 20 years ago, and I'm still not over it.
You ever been DQ'd?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, for some random thing that you're like,
No.
oh, man, I had no idea.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've never been DQ'd.
Yeah, fishing
Knock
and
on wood.
Fishing and off limits.
Where?
Texoma.
What was off? Okay, Catfish Bay or something? You didn't know
Well,
it
I was
off limits?
fishing the kind of that point that goes out where the buoy is.
At Catfish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that you could fish anything.
Yeah, you can fish
anywhere.
the points all the...
Yeah.
That was off limits?
That was off limits.
Oh, I'd have told him to stick it somewhere. I'd have said...
I was like, okay, fine, you know.
What was that in?
Oh, man, that was a long
What tournament trail was that and who that-
Angler's Choice.
Who makes the point off limits?
Yeah, Angler's Choice.
That's a poor tournament director decision right there.
That was 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's a bad tournament director. That's literally what that boiled down to. I'd have told him. I said, that's a bad decision.
That's the only time, though. And I was like, okay.
I've always wondered, like, how do you determine the off limit? So, like, Chris Bowes sometimes, right? It's like 10 feet on either side of the ramp. Then other times it's this side all the way across the cove to the other side. Then other times, like at Thousand Islands, it's like, hey, guys, watch out. There is no off limits. Free for all.
Yeah.
You can fish at the check-in, so just be careful. So, like, literally, it's just super arbitrary. Like at Smith, it was the entire dam and the cove from one side of the ramp all the way across. At the Arkansas River, it's just like 20 feet on either side of the... You see what I'm saying?
Does he have diagrams or anything?
Yeah, they have diagrams.
That's
It's
good.
always like the deal that you take off in. At Ross Barnett, where they have it, like, it's off limits where the ramp is, but where you take out of, you can idle past the checkout boat and then spin around and go back in and fish the dock and marina where everybody's staged at.
All right,
It makes no sense.
One more question that might get you in trouble, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back with Gettys. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this? At Grand Lake, of which you just had an event on, should all of Wolf Creek be off limits? In other words, just draw a line, point to point, Wolf Creek off limits, yes or no?
No, but it should be illegal to release fish in Wolf Creek if you're a tournament
Dude,
organization
that's
over
not what
100
they're gonna-
boats. Listen,
What?
if the city of Grove can make them weigh in 100 boats over there, and
Yeah.
you have more than 100 boats, then you should feel an obligation not to release your damn fish in Wolf Creek.
I don't disagree with that.
You should have a release boat, and it comes down unless there's a severe storm, a tornado, torrential downpours, or wind. You should distribute those fish throughout the lake. Don't take them out in the middle of Wolf and dump them. Don't go to another frickin' ramp that everybody knows about and just back it in and dump them. Take those fish and distribute them around the lake. That's one of the reasons why Grand sucks right now, is because everything goes to Wolf and they just get caught over and over again. They go back to the same rock pile. They're like, oh, here we go again. Guys are catching fish with 3 or 4 holes in their mouths. This was never an issue before the City of Grove made it mandatory that tournament organizations over 100 boats have to go out of Wolf. So take the freaking extra half hour, and when you fill it up, go down into Duck and Drowning and catch them, and up the Elk and in Honey Creek and dump your fish in there. It literally will save the lake. The lake is getting absolutely obliterated by
I am
tournament
sorry, I
organizations
even
and tournaments
brought it up.
right now, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. There's a real simple solution to this. Don't be freaking lazy and dump your fish 100 yards into the off limits of Wolf Creek, where they're basically doomed for the next 6 months to get smoked in the heads with jig spinnerbaits and buzzbaits. Take the extra half hour, dump it in. There's a motor on your pontoon boat for a reason, and go distribute those fish back from where they came from. And guess what? The lake's going to be better, and more people are going to want to fish your tournament organization, because you're not weighing in 23-inch fish that weigh 2.25 pounds because everything they eat is plastic.
I'm just looking around. I thought I was the only one that went on rants on this show. Jeez, where did that come from? I just wanted to know, dude, why not just make it off limits? What's wrong with that?
Oh, you ask a question?
That was epic. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but there are some tournament organizations out there that do not have release boats. You have some of the smaller events, they're not going to get a release boat. They
I'm
don't have
talking
the
about the
money.
bigger events.
Well, even the smaller events. If you have multiple small events that go out of that Wolf Creek ramp, why not just make it off limits? Here, people. Can't find retreads. Here, go find what you can find. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
So you'd be okay with that if they just said, hey, point to point, Wolf Creek, off limits.
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Do you think everybody else would be? No, man. I had that pattern going. I had the retread pattern going.
You can always fish the retread pattern. I mean, I'm guilty of fishing the retread pattern too.
It's just, man, I didn't know that was going to touch a nerve. Jeez.
It's just,
wow.
has changed Grand so much.
That was an epic rant there. Jeez. You know,
it's just a combination of laziness and fish care.
Dude, I've got the phone number for the GRDA if you want to call them after the show. Look at Mark Lamb's comment. You can read that if you want to.
Hanger channeling his inner Jeffries.
Wow. It's a good conversation, but I had no idea I was going to send you on the edge there. Jeez.
Well, I just had to deal with it for a week, and then you look at the schedule of things that are going there.
Just make it off limits, man.
I'm game with that.
Yeah, go find some fish somewhere else. All right.
But that's like 3 miles, 2 miles. It's a mile.
So
it's a
what?
mile. You can't just make a mile of the
Sure
lake
you
off
can.
limits.
Do anything you want.
You basically have to do it from Sailboat Bridge all the way to the back of Wolf. From the point
there's
right
nothing wrong
there,
with that.
straight across.
There's nothing wrong with
That's
that.
a lot of water.
Go find some water. There's plenty of it. It's not like the Colorado River. Did you watch the 60 Minutes thing?
This is not an energy drink. This is sparkling peach water. Some water.
Dude, that was epic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But you had some valid points, too. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with our special guest, Gettys Brannon. Talk a little SEC
I think it's
football and
Gettys.
fishing.
But I think that's
I
a
know.
South Carolina thing. I think Gettys is how like Northerners say it. Maybe I think he always says Gettys, like Gettys.
We'll ask him.
We've known him forever.
Does he still answer to Gettys?
Yeah, I mean he doesn't seem like one of the dudes who's like, well, this is how it actually is. It's like a suck up thing.
Yeah.
Gettys, Gettys.
All right, we'll find out. Everybody stay tuned here on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Elite FS puts the full range of Lowrance fish finding tools at your fingertips. Find fish with active imaging 3-in-1 with Fish Reveal. Target fish with active target live sonar and watch fish react to your lure as it happens. Built-in C-Map Contour Plus charts make it easy to find key fishing areas. But best-in-class charts and powerful sonar is only the beginning. It's easy to build your fully networked FS system. From sonar and waypoint sharing to controlling the Ghost trolling motor and power poles. Lowrance Elite FS. Targeting fish just got easier.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed, tested and proven by legends on the water, dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Ducket Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's 1 or 2 techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action is a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
So, you're looking to buy fishing electronics, huh? Are you also looking for true experts to help guide you through it? Well, at the Bass Tank, you've come to the right place. We are live forward-facing sonar pioneers with thousands of hours spent learning through winning trophies, cashing checks, and just having fun. Whatever brand you need, we have it. We offer free shipping, and we have 2 financing options available. Our experts are here to help you. Call us today or visit thebasstank.com.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years.
For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big.
And some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us.
But none of them knew us.
None of them were us.
Except for one.
Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
AFCO.
AFCO. AFCO.
Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
Hey everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. I'm like, X-Zone Lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone Lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's freaking digging. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
I think you get the point.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, and Matt is fired up today, folks. I'm glad to have you back in the studio, but man, I touched a nerve.
Well, I just want him to put the fish in.
I get it, man, dude. That has been around for a century.
I know
that issue, but good stuff there. All right, it is time to go to our special guest, and here I want to read something first. This is actually a piece from the press release that came out. It said, the South Carolina Boating and Fishing Alliance partnered with the South Carolina Gamecock Athletics Saturday, September 25th, to host the first of its kind boating and fishing showcase combining 3 of South Carolina's favorite pastimes, boating, fishing, and football. Before the SEC battle between Kentucky and South Carolina, the Gamecock Athletics Department estimate that more than 20,000 fans visited Gamecock Village to see one of South Carolina's top industries on display, boating and fishing, which provides the state with 23,000 jobs and a $5.1 billion economic impact to the area.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So, I kind of did a little digging, not much, but I could not find anything where this was ever done at a high-profile university before, where there was a correlation, a cooperative effort between the university and an organization that was involved in fishing and boating. So
here's another good quote.
What's that?
Thousands of football fans were able to see iconic brands of boats and fishing tackle, and most are unaware that they were made right here in South Carolina, raising awareness of our industry and showcasing products that will continue to be a major focus of the South Carolina Boating and Fishing Alliance.
That was very FM radio-like, you're reading there.
Oh. Well, I'm trying to calm down and I'm trying to reach would that be a state of homeostasis, I believe?
I really don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Just trying to counter the rant with
some mellow tie.
Yep.
You're on 102.7 FM radio. Matt,
what happened to your music show? You were doing all this music
dude,
shows. You had bought all these rights to be able to do like the Bee Gees Brothers and the Beach Boys,
but it was a matter of the studio crashing and all the issues that I had, and I just haven't got.
You're gonna have Kelly Jordan on, and you're gonna go over like '80s Red Dirt and all sorts of crazy stuff.
We are gonna do that. We are actually gonna launch that during Thanksgiving break and during the Christmas break this year. So it's coming back. I actually got an email from somebody about that. So yeah, it's called Music and Memories, where we have professional anglers join the show and they talk about some of the music that they grew up with and some of the music that they currently listen to. So yeah, that's still a go there, Matthew. All right, let's bring him in now.
Who are we bringing in?
Gettys? Did I say it right?
You did. We've known each other now for about 10 years, Mark.
Dude, I don't pay attention to that. That's on me. I'm an idiot. All right, I'm a moron.
I told you he wouldn't care.
I thought I was on NPR for a second with Matthew.
He had that voice going, didn't he?
He did.
Well, I just thought that was an important quote in the...
Well, it was, but that was a fantastic FM radio.
I wasn't trying to do like that.
NPR.
I was literally just trying to come back down to normal. I apologize. Would you like me to reread it?
No,
I'll
no,
reread
no,
it.
no.
Here, just to make you happy. Thousands of football fans were able to see iconic brands of boats and fishing tackle, and most were unaware that they're made right here in South Carolina.
There you have it.
There we go.
That's good stuff.
Well,
All right, man.
I did learn that we need to be focused on live release boats, and that needs to be one of our...
No. Not don't focus on the live release boats. Focus on where and what the live release boat is doing. Like there's a motor on it for a reason.
Dude, you're getting him started again.
Take the dang things out, away. Like, yes, you will not get to eat dinner for an extra 15 minutes, but guess what? You're going to save 75 bass from being weighed in 128 hours.
Wow. All right, can we like progress toward our guest and what he is involved with? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you all right?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, Gettys.
You and Patrick never caught release fish, did you?
No.
Yeah.
Didn't need to, man.
You can't always know, but to my knowledge, we never targeted any retreads. But it's not to say that they weren't caught the day before.
You fished with Patrick Walters how many years? 3?
At least 3.
At least 3. And won how many championships? You won the FLW National Championship.
We won the FLW National Championship. We came in second in 2017 in FLW. And then we had some good tournaments there for a while. I mean, we really made a good team, man, and Patrick's doing really well.
Yeah. Anyway, back to
all right
the business at hand.
When I saw this press release and I read it, I thought that's pretty cool, especially from an aspect of getting such a large university involved with something like this. Why don't you give the fans just a little bit of background on how this all came together and kind of put at the forefront a little bit more detail on what you guys actually did at this football game?
Absolutely. So, just looking at the industry as a whole, we've seen a 13-year high in participation. A lot of studies are showing that boat registrations are up, fishing license sales are up. I know in South Carolina, boat registrations are up 50% over COVID. So a lot of people wanted to get outside and spend time outside. And I know, you talk about making the sport better and growing the sport. We've always thought of ways to really get into the whole R3 of recruitment, retainment, and reactivation. And when you start thinking of creative ways to get out of the box and bring new fans into the sport or reactivate fans that may have seen it, 30 or 40 years ago and say, wow, this has really become a big sport in South Carolina, a big sport across the United States. Here it is. What a better place to do it than an SEC football game. So the university rolled out the red carpet for us. We had a spot that was adjacent right to the football stadium. We had about 15 boats out there. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of boats, but, I mean, these were big boats. I think our smallest boat was one of Falcon's 20. I think they had a 20-footer out there. And Falcon Bass Boats is in Newberry, and they do a great job. They're actually one of our only bass boat manufacturers in the state. So there was a lot of center console brands out there. And, it was a really cool event. Yamaha brought out their Right Waters trailer, talked to folks, and they were having to lock up the motors at the end of the night because there's such a hard press on getting motors these days. But
oh wow,
it was a good show, man. And 20,000 people showing up. We couldn't ask for anything more. Just showcasing what our industry here in South Carolina. And the cool thing about boats being made, if you've been through a factory before, there's no automation. These are folks that wake up every morning and get in there, sand and grind and do the chopper guns with the fiberglass and all the hands-on activities. It's truly like an artisan style job that people don't really think about. So here in South Carolina, we employ about 23,000 people.
I remember that. Remember the first time you went through the Bass Cat Factory?
Oh, yeah.
I remember that
Yeah.
because I thought it would be like going through like the Ford plant or something. Where everything's, and no, it's like literally people like under the console on their backs, like doing stuff, like sitting there. Remember they have them out there, and it's people who are. It's a hand. They're doing it with their hands.
Yeah. No assembly line.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. I've got some photos.
Yeah, show the photos because they're pretty.
All right, so let's do this here. That's the first one, and that is a cool shot with the stadium in the background.
Describe to our iTunes and podcast listeners. That is a center console?
That's a Scout center console boat. Has a Yamaha on the back of it, and then you have Williams Bryce in the foreground. And let's see, there's a few people. That was before the show started. That was when we were getting set up.
Yeah.
Some of the other photos will show you kind of the progression throughout the day. It's really just a steady trickle of fans, and then they call Gamecock Walk, and I think you have a picture of that. Here in a few minutes, where really that's when a huge group of folks came through. I tell you what surprised us though, Mark and Matt, was the fact that so many of the fans that visited the expo actually cared about boating and fishing. Our dealers that were there working the show, so they got a lot more serious questions about buying boats and buying fishing tackle than they thought.
Look at that. There's a bunch of people, man.
Now, the purpose of this wasn't like to sell boats and fishing tackle. It was just to raise what was the actual purpose of this? Like, it wasn't like, oh, hey, these are for sale.
No, I mean eventually we want those people to become buyers. But it was just an awareness of the industry, awareness of the alliance, which we started in February, and it was just a cross promotional example to show how we can get new consumers into the market that might not have seen a Sportsman boat or Scout or Sea Hunt or Sea Pro or Tidewater anywhere else. And there were a lot of great South Carolina brands there right now in South Carolina. According to our commerce department, we have about 27 brands. I would say about 18 of those are brands that all three of us would know. Probably didn't have a clue they were in South Carolina before this group formed.
All right, this is probably the most telling photo right here. Let me throw this one up. Look at that.
And there's the boats right there in the top left corner.
Yeah. Kind of describe what's taking place here.
So this is Gamecock Walk. So the guys, they start back here at the big building in the very back, and they'll walk all the way through, and the fans just kind of line up on both sides of them. And then as soon as the football players went into the actual stadium, the fans all congregated straight into the show area there at Gamecock Village, and man, it was a rush of folks, and it was a ton of people. And one of the concerns we had when we first did this, because no one's ever done it before, is are people going to be crawling all over boats or jumping all over the place? And none of that happened. So that was a good thing we got past.
Man, that is impressive right there. I think I have one more photo. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is a cool shot too. Here, let me pull this one up.
Oh yeah, that's neat.
With the stadium in the background.
Yeah, so this is like a combination of salt and fresh. Like your job, what this whole thing is about too. And is that some of the things that you guys have been working on, is combining it so the freshwater companies and industries and the boating and everyone is like working together as a whole to better the entire experience for South Carolinians?
Yeah, we have a lot of saltwater boat manufacturers, and we have a couple that are both. Obviously, any of the saltwater boats can go in freshwater as well, vice versa. But we have Bentley pontoons, Falcon bass boats that are two main freshwater folks that are on board with us. But the real thing, Matt, is we looked at this, and the economic mix of boating and fishing companies is what we were really bringing together. You're Rather Outdoors, which is Luge, Strike King, Zepco, Quantum, and then you have Pure Fishing, which of course has 26 brands underneath it. They just acquired Plano most recently. Obviously household names like Abu Garcia, Berkeley. It just a ton of brands if we got off to naming them. So, that was one of the main things. Shimano's here as well, Z-Man. So we really have a big group fishing tackle manufacturers that are based here that didn't really work with the boat manufacturers yet. And just to give you an idea, in our state, and I'm sure it's like this in Oklahoma and other places as well, there were 18,000 recognized associations by our Secretary of State. 22,000 of those before that were nonprofits. The associations, just associated businesses. 300 of those are actually registered with the ethics folks, which means they can get out and lobby, ask for things, and try to make South Carolina a better place for their respective industry. And what we figured out is the boating and fishing industry combined was the largest unrepresented sector of business in the state. So that's $5.1 billion a year and 23,000 jobs that didn't have a voice at the State House. So that's where sort of the idea came from, and we've had a great team here to execute it.
That shot there is a really, really cool shot. I really like seeing the stadium in the background. Obviously, the previous one that I showed with all the fans. What I want to know is, what was the feedback from the university?
Oh, man, the chief athletics marketing officer said it's the best activation they've had in that space before. And I think this space has been there for probably, I want to say 8 or 9 years now. So we really utilized the space to its maximum.
What's usually there?
They have other sponsors that come out every week, whether it's any of their alcohol sponsors, any of their, like I think Blue Cross Blue Shield was the week after. So they had insurance information, that sort of stuff. So there were a bunch of different, just a variety.
Sound way more exciting than that. I'm just saying, if you're going to walk past that space, you're more likely to go, ooh, look, boats, than you are like, insurance. Hell yeah, let's go get some of that Blue Cross.
Oh my gosh, Hanger.
I will say, it's really cool when you work, and y'all know this, you've been in it longer than I have, but when you work in the boating and fishing industry, people are so excited to talk about, buying boats or talking about fishing tackle. It's just, it comes from, I would say, a place of joy most of the time. And I feel like, you look at other things are definitely essential and needs in life. You don't get that same sort of feel. So Matt, you're right. We get a lot of folks that are excited about seeing boats, talk about fishing. And I mean, you should see the face on some of the legislators when you come in there and you're talking about boating and fishing instead of, social issues or any of the pressing issues that might not be as fun to talk about.
Why has South Carolina started to really become a center for the fishing and boating industry?
So I think to get sort of on a granular level with that, Mark, you have a few companies here, both in the boat building side and the fishing tackle side, that were big names for probably 20, 30 years now. And you started to see sort of the whole idea of the oak tree dropping the acorns, right? So you started to see these other companies pop up from folks that used to work at these other companies. And now it's just created a cluster of industry that are South Carolina grown businesses that even our state was not completely aware about.
Huh.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say there's been a tremendous amount of movement and kind of relocation of several companies that have been outside of the state, and suddenly the appealing factor to relocate your business to South Carolina in the fishing and boating industry has been somewhat overwhelming. Obviously, there has to be some type of financial incentive, not that there's tax credits or anything like that going on, but it must be appealing from a business standpoint to run your business from South Carolina than other areas in the country from an expense standpoint.
South Carolina is a business-friendly state. You look at Volvo, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Boeing, Michelin. You have a lot of headquarters here that a lot of folks don't realize. South Carolina, I think Governor Haley at one point described it as the beast of the Southeast when it comes to manufacturing. I mean, there's so many manufacturing facilities here, and really, you see that, Mark, and you start looking at the types of businesses that boating and fishing companies are. Obviously, we don't create the same amount of jobs on one hit that a Boeing does when they come in.
Right.
But we have so many of them together that as a collective industry, we're able to have a seat at the table with some of these big manufacturers now. And I just think that's very important because these are worldwide brands that are in South Carolina. And if we do certain things right here in our state, whether it's policy related, whether it's fighting for good policy, creative funding methods to get more live release boats with good motors on them, or whatever that might be, we want places in other states to see what we're doing here, to be to really be an example for other states, with what our companies are doing here in our state.
So what would you say the primary role of the Alliance is?
Our main mission is to make sure that the industry has a voice, and it's just that simple. But at the same time, you also have to realize there's a lot of purely environmental groups that exist in the state that we live in, nationwide even, that are pushing for, sometimes some pretty restrictive environmental policies that create access issues. So, when you look at that, people have to understand that our industry as a whole has to have the best balance between the economy and ecology of, I would say, any other industry out there, because without clean waterways, without healthy fisheries, our industry is not going to thrive. You look at, from a saltwater standpoint, you look at the red snapper season that's going off. It's 2 days now. Used to, I'm sure it was, a few weeks. And so that really, when you get the vice grips around something like that, it really restricts how many days you can spend on the water. And, with participation rising that we talked about earlier, you talk about needing a sustainability plan, whether that's habitat restoration, some stocking programs, whatever that is, to make our lakes stay up to date with those folks that do it great in Alabama, the folks that do it great in Tennessee and Texas. We want to make sure South Carolina is thought of in that same form. So that's a very important thing, is to make sure that we are out speaking for the industry, speaking for the anglers, speaking for the boaters, and making sure South Carolina is a better place to boat and fish.
All right, a follow-up to that. Is there plans to do this event again next year in 2022?
Absolutely. We absolutely want to do this again. Not sure what game we're going to do yet. We don't have an 100% affirmative, but it seems like the buy-in's there, and we're certainly open to any way that we can grow the sport and get creative in doing it.
They wouldn't be in OU's division, would they?
No.
They'd be in the other division.
Well, they're talking pods. They're doing the pod thing.
So there's a chance?
No. They wouldn't be in the once every 4 years.
No.
Or 8 years, I guess is what it would be. All right, I'm curious. The event obviously had an effect on that visibility of the industries that are, there in South Carolina. What is the balance between freshwater and saltwater in South Carolina?
Well, like I said earlier, it's a lot of the saltwater companies can also, you got Lake Murray right now. You see all the striper boats out there. You'll see a ton of Sea Hunts, a ton of Tidewaters, Pioneers, Bulls Bay.
I will notice a lot of center consoles on Hartwell when I was there a couple years ago and stuff. And you're just like, you're like, oh, okay. It's a lot like Texoma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Out there where you have a lot of people from.
Yeah, from an angler standpoint, though, is it even close to 50-50?
ASA told me, and the American Sport Fishing Association told me one time that 85% of anglers are freshwater anglers, but only 15% of the time and money is actually spent lobbying. What we're trying to do for freshwater. So what we're trying to do is make that more even, right? So the saltwater anglers definitely already have a voice. We have great alliances out there right now with CCA and different groups that work on behalf of saltwater anglers. And we're not solely focused on freshwater or saltwater. We're trying to bring both of them more together. But that balance, it depends on what the issues are each year. But we're all, fighting the same battle. Conservation's a team sport, and making sure that we're exposing the brands on both sides are great things. Of course, with pure fishing, you see Abu Garcia more in freshwater and you see Penn more in saltwater. So you have those brands that come together nicely, and same thing with others.
Are you guys going to have a presence at the Classic, being in South Carolina?
That's our plan. We hope to, for sure.
Cool.
Hopefully have a booth where people can sign up.
Stop by.
Yeah, absolutely. People can sign up for our individual memberships. Ask us more about what we're doing on specific conservation funding and seeing how they can, maybe get involved in other things in other states. Now, to my knowledge, there's not many of these organizations out there, if not any. But that, again, that's just a reflection on, the economic mix of these companies in our state that have a need and a want to get out and take care of the resource and to make sure that our consumers are, really getting the best experience that they can.
How'd you get into this position? I mean, that's a valid question. We obviously know you started fishing. You had an interest in tournament bass fishing. Then I believe you worked for Bass for a little bit. You freelanced for Bassmaster for a little bit, and then you kind of left and started this. I'm not exactly sure, but it was just like, oh, Gettys is doing something with South Carolina. You did some little freelancing, and then this whole thing came about, and we're like, dude, do you see pictures with the governor and with senators and stuff? And then boom, you know what I mean? It's been kind of slow, but it's also just been an interesting progression in the industry.
Well, it's been a slow and steady progression, but I tell you where it all started. And I know you said this earlier in the show, but college bass fishing is really what helped me get my start in the industry. If we didn't win the national championship and the stars weren't aligned like they were, I don't know really where this conversation would be today, but we were certainly blessed to have that happen here in South Carolina. A lot of folks from that group at the University of South Carolina went on to work in the outdoors industry, even if they're not fishing. Tom Brubaker's over at Rather Outdoors, Hampton Anderson's at Sea Hunt, and then, of course, Patrick's fishing in the Elite Series. So it's really, you're starting to see, and the whole industry needs a better workforce, right? Because when you do have these larger companies come in, they have a pipeline through technical schools. They have a pipeline through universities. But now you're seeing college fishing and high school fishing become that pipeline for our industry. And I think we have to cultivate that and be cognizant of that's what we're truly doing. And so I think that's an important note there. But, Matt, when we went on the road with Bassmaster and started going around and I was out there for, I guess, 3 years and then probably 5 years total, and then working for Bass through McAllister Communications here in Columbia, started noticing, obviously, Rather Outdoors and Pure Fishing and Shimano being here in South Carolina and Z-Man as well. And after we finished working with Bass and I got back to South Carolina and started looking around and noticing that there were those 22,000 recognized nonprofits and 18,000 associations, and 300 of them were at the State House talking to their representatives or senators or the governor, whoever that might be, to tell them about their industry. I realized that we were severely underserved in that area. And if you're not on the menu, a lot of times you're on the table. So it's one of those things that you have to have a voice. And so in doing that and noticing the tackle companies, the boat manufacturers were the things that surprised me the most. I knew Falcon was here, but to have the sheer amount of boats that come out of South Carolina, and heck, South Carolina, I think 7th per capita in boats registered. I think 1 in 10 South Carolinians have a boat registered.
Wow.
A lot of boats. And a lot of those are South Carolina made boats. And I'm sure there's a lot of South Carolina made boats in Oklahoma and across the United States as well. But, just noticing how large that industry was and being able to marry politics and fishing and boating was really two passions that came together nicely. And we've had great members, a great chairman, Chris Butler. He has Butler Marine down in Beaufort County. He's on the CSP board and does a lot with Yamaha. And just had some great partners that really made this, opportunity a reality. And we've been just very blessed to be able to get the exposure that we have this year. We've really, really, really had a strong year. We did South Carolina Boating and Fishing Week. We kicked it off at Pure Fishing with the governor there. And just educating policymakers. It's very important. I know Gene Gilliland and others at Bass and the conservation side of things, preach about this. When it comes to, you see guys like Mark Menendez going in front of Congress talking about the Asian carp issue, and if you don't have a network, you don't realize it until it's too late. And so putting these measures into place and being able to go out, work on things like workforce, work on things in the advocacy side of things is very, very important for our industry. And I think that, as passionate as anglers are, we should be able to organize them much better than we have in the past. And that's what we're working on here.
Obviously, we talked about this yesterday too. There's a tremendous amount of professional anglers with incredible resumes that have come out of South Carolina. Casey Ashley, Brandon Cobb, Marty Robinson, Davey Height. I mean, just it's insane. Do you have any plans on working with these anglers to raise the awareness of the organization? I'm talking boat ramp, sponsorships, having them volunteer.
Yeah, absolutely. And Davey Height's actually on our board. He was at the football game signing autographs and was on the radio that week and you know, talking about Bassmaster Classic champion Davey Height here to sign autographs. Great way to fold him into things. And he's an awesome guy. And you know, everything he does with bass never goes unnoticed. But yeah, Matt, we're looking at actually having an angler advisory committee that we really want folks to come back from obviously the respective trails and say, this is what we've seen in other states. This is how we can make it better here.
Anthony Gagliardi.
Gagliardi. Casey Ashley, Brian Latimer, Cobb, Patrick, Britt Myers, Andy Montgomery. I mean, you have just a ton of folks here.
Yeah, so you're getting them all in the fold.
Yes, we're going to get them all in the fold. And there's a lot of ways, you know, from a tax perspective too, and I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, but there's a lot of ways they can be helped by what we're doing here too. You know, there are certain taxes that go on professional anglers after, you know, winning as much money as they have. It should be easily noted that this is the profession and they shouldn't have to pay the luxury taxes and the things they have to pay on boats and motors, even if they're given or even if they're, even if they have to pay for them. Sometimes they're ending up paying for them twice or three times when it comes to taxes. So, yeah, there's a lot of things when it comes to policy work that we can bring them in the fold, save them some money in the future, and make sure they're recognized as you know, other professional groups are.
All right, two questions. One, I'm curious, did you get any local television media coverage from this event? Were there other media outlets that kind of picked up on this and kind of piggybacked on what you were doing?
Not as much local as we did sports marketing websites and some different outdoors websites. You know, we had a couple of local hits. We also did some radio before the game. We were advertising in certain ways to try to get the word out there. You know, local media has done a good job of highlighting when we have job openings and other things within the industry. They did a great job of covering the boating and fishing week as well. But yeah, no, this one, it was more than less folks within the outdoors industry and folks within the outdoor marketing space. So it was an interesting group of media coverage, but it was very positive and certainly leads us to want to do it again.
You know, it would be cool. Think about if you could do this when College Game Day would be on campus. How cool would that be?
Oh, man. So we actually thought we were going to have a similar situation. SEC Nation was there that day, and they were actually in the Horseshoe, which is on campus. But there for a minute, we thought they might be right in front of the setup. So that would have been really cool. But, you know, there's always next year, and hopefully if our Gamecocks can pull it together, we'll be having, you know, great attendance, and maybe SEC Nation or College Game Day will be there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. My next question is, I don't know how competitive the alliance business is, but I'm curious, has any other alliances across the nation caught word of what you guys have accomplished and contacted you for advice and maybe doing something similar in their state?
Specifically related to the game, no, but what we're seeing is a lot of questions throughout the United States about, you know, how do we do this here? And I think there are certainly states that could do it. But I don't know that there is a state that has, as I said earlier, the unique economic mix we have here. Yeah. And there are marine trade associations in other states. Those are mostly dealerships and marinas. But as far as builders and as far as tackle manufacturers coming together, I believe we're the first state to do it. And we've definitely had interest from other states. It's just looking really at that economic cluster to see if it's something that would be viable. Now, I encourage anyone that's listening to get involved with your local type associations, no matter what state you're in. Get involved with your local BASS chapter, Ducks Unlimited, even on the hunting side. You know, there's so many folks that you can get involved with. But we work closely, Mark, to get back to your question. We work closely with the National Marine Manufacturers Association, the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, the American Sport Fishing Association, and other groups that do what we do, except on a national level.
Right.
And sometimes, politics are local, and so it's easier to work on the ground floor and work things up that way. But we're a nonpartisan organization. I know politics always sounds like a bad and dirty word sometimes, but this is all good stuff. Working on different conservation measures and making sure that the tax environment's competitive here in our state. I know our property taxes are super high on boats. We're trying to get rid of outboard motor titles and taxes on those. I think Oklahoma has actually joined us in the 6 states that are the only 6 states that those still exist. And we are trying to get rid of that this year and just make it more friendly for the consumer to buy a boat, whether that's electronic registration, whatever that is, and ways for everybody to save money.
All right, cool stuff. My last question, dude, I got to know, what do you like better, saltwater or freshwater when you're on the water?
Oh man, I've gotten to go freshwater fishing a good bit, but man, they still know that I'm a bass guy at heart. They still know that I'm always going to be a bass angler. So I'm excited. I'm having a Falcon boat built here soon, and we're gonna get after it and get back hopefully in the tournament scene and maybe get out there with Matt sometime soon.
Very nice. Matt, final thoughts?
No, it's cool. It's neat to see you taking. I mean, you're from South Carolina, doing this in South Carolina, went to South Carolina for college, and now making a difference in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see it all coming full circle, and it looks like you have a bright future ahead. I mean, this thing is still kind of in its infancy. This isn't something that's been around for this alliance is not something that's been around for years and years and years. This is happening right now.
We started in February.
Yeah.
And, if more folks want to learn about it, you can go to our website at scbfa.com. We have gear on there. We have, individual memberships, and you don't have to be in South Carolina to support it. Even think about ways to, like I said earlier, get involved in your local CCA chapters or BASS chapters, whatever that might be, just to get out there and have a voice and make sure that our fisheries are taken care of for the next generation and make sure that there's some sustainability plans in place where the fish are actually making it to the middle of the lake whenever they're being released.
Oh, that was a right cross there.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Good.
All right, man.
Very nice.
Hey, thanks for taking time out.
So much.
Yeah, great
Appreciate
show,
it.
great stuff.
Again.
Yeah. We'll get you back on, and if we don't talk to you before the holidays, have a great holiday, and we'll get you back on soon, man.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt.
All right.
Appreciate
See ya.
both of you.
All right, take care. All right, there you have it. That's good stuff right there, man. It's a little different. It had kind of a taste of a little business kind of subject matter, but at the same time, that is very, very important to that economy in the state of South Carolina. And more importantly, the cool aspect is getting SEC football involved with the awareness that was made. That one picture, and I can't pull it back up. I already
that's cool.
shut it down. But seeing those people line up for when the players came through with the boats in the background and stuff, it was really, really cool. Good stuff.
I agree.
Yeah. So thanks to him for coming on and kind of talking, explaining what the Alliance is all about. All right, let's do this, man. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and wrap things up.
Okay.
And I have another question for you, and hopefully it won't set you off the deep
Well,
end.
that one didn't set me off. I just passionately explained.
I get it, man. But it's something that I thought about during that interview, and I didn't want to bring it up then because it could be a pretty stupid idea. But I want to ask. I want to ask you. And you can throw it back at me if it's a stupid idea.
Okay.
All right? All right, we'll take a break and come back. Everybody stay tuned. Everybody loves to chase bass on the water. But is your most valuable asset protected when it's not on the water? Empire Covers can preserve your bass boat against even the harshest conditions. When the storm is coming, that bass boat needs to be protected. Check out EmpireCovers.com for all your cover needs. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution when it comes to protecting that asset. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution in easy protection for your truck, for your boat, for your car, anything that needs to be protected from the elements. BTL listeners can receive free shipping plus an extra 15% off their entire order on EmpireCovers.com. Just use the promo code BTL at checkout. Empire Covers. Protect what you love.
The Little John family of crankbaits designed by top tour pro John Cruz have excelled at catching bass in any condition for years. They all feature a flat-sided design and paint jobs that are seldom seen in mass production bait. The Little John family also expands with new rattling versions of the Little John 50 and Little John 50 MD. Both of these baits are proven fish catchers that will now be available in rattling versions for stained and muddy water. They feature the same great action and diving depths as the original 50 and MD sizes.
The Ned Rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned Rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned Rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned Rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
There's one.
You know what works. Now you need a bunch of them so you don't run out on your next fishing trip. The Big Bite Pro Packs feature 25 baits per pack at a price far below that of having to buy 5 packs of regular baits. Now the Pro Pack has a big brother, the Mega Pack. The Mega Pack features 100 of your favorite baits.
With these, one bag is usually plenty to get through the day. It helps me stay organized, helps me save money, helps me catch more fish.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamecock hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamecock makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
All right, we are back. Wrapping up Tuesday. Mark and Matt in studio. All right, dude. You know, that was a really, really cool interview. And the gig that he has is a really, really challenging, but at the same time, it's got to be a fun adventure that he goes on dealing with so many people in so many industries, not just fishing, boating, recreation, and all of the collaboration that takes place. So, cool deal. It got me thinking, though. And you didn't know you were going to have a test. All right? I want you to tell me, and the answer is not the Super Bowl. I'll tell you that right now. Give me an event that has massive exposure outside of the hunting and fishing industry that I believe, and anybody out there can correct me, that fishing has never been involved with.
An event?
An event.
Is it an athletic event?
No, it is not. It has, here, I'll give you another hint. It has athletic ties to it. But the event,
Olympics?
The event itself.
Not the Olympics.
Has nothing to do with athletics. It's an annual event. I will continue to give you clues.
It's an annual event.
Happens once a year.
Where is it located?
I'll just say Western U.S.
Western U.S.
It is probably one of the most viewed.
Burning Man?
No, one of the most viewed events on television. It's a big deal. Let's see if anybody
It's not
else.
the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating.
No, it has nothing to do with bowling. Oh, there he got it.
The Rose Parade?
The Rose Parade.
I would never have gotten that.
Now, do you ever watch the Rose Parade? Have you ever watched the Rose Parade?
Yes, I've watched it. It's before the Rose Bowl.
Before the Rose Bowl.
In Pasadena, California.
And continues to be the highest rated parade event on television every year. Now, my question is has either the hunting or fishing industry ever had a float in the Rose Parade?
Wait, it's just a float that looks like the forest with a buck jumping out of the front of it.
How cool would that be to have like a pond on a float with, I don't know, Kevin Van Dam or whoever.
Just birded a buzzbait through it?
Yeah. With all kinds of decoration. Would that create a buzz, especially if the float won an award? Has Bass Pro had a float? Maybe. I don't know.
They're not going to have any money left to build a float after this $1 million derby in a couple weeks.
That's not true. But think about that. I know it's on the outskirts.
What would
it's
that
a
take?
stupid
if Bass
idea.
Pro Shops wanted to do that, what would that really take? Would
I
that
don't
just
know.
take Johnny making one call to be like, hey,
Now, I
dude,
will tell you this.
I want a float.
I have been in the Rose Parade.
Weren't you playing the flute?
No.
No?
Oh, jeez.
I thought you were.
No, it's when I was in military school, and I was the drill team commander for our rifle.
That was an
drill team.
unnecessary shot. I
Yeah,
apologize.
that was kind of brutal, man. You didn't.
Kind of funny though.
Anyway,
See you in the
school.
band.
No,
dressed
the-
up.
no,
in
no,
the-
no. We had the shiny
band costume,
shiny helmets, and the uniforms, and dude, we were rocking, and we actually made an appearance.
Really?
In
Was
the
it
Rose
cool?
Parade. 19. What year was that? 19.
Was it on televised then?
Oh yeah. I think it was 71 or 72.
So, like, did your mom and dad watch you in the
Yeah,
Rose
they
Parade
had
on TV?
Yeah, no. They were actually there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there was
I
a
didn't
lot
know
of
that.
families that were involved, and the school was the Southern California Military Academy. I will. That's pretty funny there.
Get some feedback. Picture you high stepping in the band with an ill-fitting band suit,
Dude,
the
I'm
hat
telling
with the
you,
chin
man.
strap.
No. I was not part of the band. We were part of the marching drill team. No, I was not in the band. Jeez. Not at all.
You didn't
I
have a baton?
I didn't play the tuba. No. I had a rifle. Okay.
The clarinet.
I had a rifle.
Is that the rifle that's in the studio?
No.
I thought you said that. Oh no, that was your sword that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was the sword.
That
That
was-
was from the same
Yeah. Sometimes
military school.
Sometimes the officers of the drill team would have rifles. Sometimes we would have what was referred to as a saber.
So that was your saber.
Yeah, I think it's sitting there. Go grab it. Go grab it real quick.
Right next to your flute.
No, I was not in the band. But is that a crazy idea? You tell me. Is Bass Pro Shops or anybody ever had a float either in the Rose Parade? Somebody mentioned the Macy's Parade. That would be cool. Did you find it, Matt? No.
It's your saber.
No. So this was when I was on the drill team, and look at this. Yeah. I can even remember some of the routines.
Be
that we
careful.
had.
We just got the set
No,
fixed to where it's working. If you hit it with your junior high military saber, that would
No. And at one time,
I mean,
was
it's
there a
dull.
graves-
It was never sharp, right?
Yeah, it was never sharp. It was.
I mean, it would still.
well, if you
still don't
stab
want to get
somebody,
whacked
yeah.
with that thing.
But
Thank you for motioning the stabbing motion. You said that too. That's a nice addition.
But that's what it was, dude. It was okay.
Wait, do that again.
That was the present.
Oh, okay.
I'm not standing.
That
up
present
and doing-
arms
yeah,
deal?
Yeah. As we rolled past the parade, whatever commander, or I don't know what they're called. But yeah, that saber was actually used in the Rose Parade. And the rest of the guys had rifles.
You gonna auction that off in the Hall of Fame auction
no,
next
I'm
year?
Keeping this. No, I'm keeping this. That's a memory right there.
Have you contacted the dude who
I have not
won the auction yet?
No, and we need to get confirmation on that.
Yeah, we got confirmation. Didn't we?
Oh, no, I haven't received anything.
I thought you said you did.
No. I got a message from somebody that said, but I have no confirmation from the Hall of Fame.
No, I might.
Ooh, that fell down.
What is this Redfish Cup that's going on? It's like a bunch of bass guys that are teaming up with Redfish people.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a team thing, I think.
When does that happen?
Yeah. People are saying that's a horrible idea. I would like to see what the exposure is.
What, a bass float or a fishing float in the Rose Parade?
Yeah. It'd be cool if they won an award. You know, they have a zillion awards for those
Just
floats.
waiting for him to break the glass table.
No, I set it on the floor.
Like I said, yeah, that was a...
All right. Yeah. Anyway, a little bit more info on me. So that's it. Tomorrow, good show. Who are we going to have in studio? He is in studio, right?
Yeah, Bradley
Hallman making a return. And we'll get his take on his season and what we can expect in 2022. And we'll get his...
I did hear... Now, I don't know if this is... I don't know if it's public info yet.
What is that?
But I do believe there are some overall Opens rules tweaks for 2022.
Off limits being one of them? Maybe?
No.
No?
Qualification changes.
Should I?
But I don't want to overstep my bounds here until they...
Yeah, don't go there, man.
But it's
not
good.
Until you have,
I'm saying it's positive.
Not until you have factual information.
Well, I have factual information.
What do you think?
Put that down.
What do you think if this would be in the boat and I bring it out on a draw tournament?
Put that down, Mark. You're gonna hit something that you're not supposed to.
All right, it's on the floor. All right. Anyway, good show. Hey, it's good to see Charlie Hartley watching us once again.
Yeah,
we need to get him on. So that's it for the remainder of the week. We'll have Bradley in studio and then Frank on day 4. And then Matthew's working on next week. And just like every time, we'll post it on Sunday night, what we have lined up. Anything else, man? When the video's going to be out? Soon? Sometime?
On Thursday.
All right.
I'll have the videos out on Thursday.
All right, because I know people love seeing the action on the water. And you do a really good job with that stuff. So look for that, and we'll see what Bradley has to say tomorrow. Get his thoughts
Thanks,
on release boats.
That was good stuff from Gettys Brannon talking about South Carolina Boating Fishing Alliance.
Yeah, really good stuff. So everybody have a very, very safe Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow with Bradley Hallman. That's it. We're out of here.